What's up guys, my name is Jake. I was recently browsing through some movies on a streaming platform where I came across some new, apparently very bad Mark Wahlberg movie. And in the background of the cover photo, I noticed a very familiar abandoned structure. It's what used to be the Fontainebleau Las Vegas, a resort hotel that I covered all the way back in 2021, after it had already been sitting in the north end of the Las Vegas Strip for over 13 years. It's obviously hard to miss, now appearing in the background of blockbuster movies in its abandoned form. After seeing this, it got me thinking about what happened to it. And to my shock, quite a lot of progress has actually been made. So much so that the Fontainebleau Las Vegas is actually now open. So I hopped on a plane to go see what this formerly abandoned resort looks like today, just a few months after it had opened to the public. This is the 2024 update for the Fontainebleau Las Vegas. For nearly 17 years, this towering blue structure has been a ghost on the Las Vegas Strip. If you recall, the project has been in various stages of development for years. Like I said, I made a whole video on it back in 2021, so if you want a much more detailed timeline of this disaster, I'll leave a link to go watch it below. But at the time, the Drew, as the resort was then known as, had just been purchased by essentially the same developers who built the original structure. It was the Sofer family, and they had now purchased back what they originally built in 2007, and by extension, inherited the deal the last developer made with Marriott, who was slated to come on as the resort's hotel operator. By October of 2021 though, Marriott had exited their grandfathered deal, leaving it to the Sofer family, which was now operating under the company name Fontainebleau Developments, to figure out what to do. A month later, in November, the developers finally came out with their intentions for the property. They announced the Fontainebleau Las Vegas. Again, yes, that's right, the same company that initiated the dream of a Fontainebleau resort in Las Vegas back in 2005, oversaw its partial construction, abandoned the tower after filing for bankruptcy, left it sitting there for years over various starts from other owners, has now repurchased the tower, and has announced the same hotel as they did nearly 20 years ago. This was the ultimate full circle moment, and I suppose it was a fitting use for the structure. I'll get into the amenities and the features of the property in a minute, but at the time of their announcement, they stated the hotel would be ready by late 2023. And in fact, work got going almost immediately, dreaming up the new vision of this 67-story, 9 million square foot building. Already, plans had diverted from their original concepts, starting with the elimination of a condominium element for the tower, while also reducing the total number of hotel rooms, allowing for larger categories as well as more suites. A totally new interior design scheme was chosen for the entire property, and that included the rooms, meaning anything already installed from the previous attempts to open the building would have to be removed and refitted. Along the strip, the long temporary exterior cladding that the city forced the Carl Icahn development to put up had finally been replaced by a more permanent facade. That was along with a large LED sign that complemented the massive Fontainebleau logo on the glass tower, though that logo has already interestingly been taken down. Speaking of which, the many broken panels of glass had now been all replaced, and the blue ghost was beginning to reanimate more and more by the day. Apart from a small fire on the roof, construction moved along swiftly, this time without any serious delays or financial hardship. That's likely thanks to their largest investment partner, Koch Industries. Finally, on December 13th, 2023, the property was finished, and with a celebrity-filled event, the Fontainebleau Las Vegas had officially opened to the public. A few of you had sent me this news, and while I was keeping an eye on the project, I was honestly surprised that the opening had finally happened after so many missed deadlines. I was even more surprised to see the massive marketing campaign they were doing with the New York City New Year's ball drop, literally incorporating their logo into the ball. Really, their marketing seems to be everywhere now, especially on the West Coast. So I flew out to Las Vegas, for the first time in fact, and checked into this old, brand new resort. So upon entry, the porte cochere had already been changed from the original design, which was in fact still standing when the renewal press conference was held. The new entrance is really welcoming and vibrant, as is the lobby, which has largely stayed the same from the original design. It's still a large space in an oval shape, with large pillar-like art pieces surrounding it. We checked into a Platinum King room, which takes advantage of the curvature of the tower and provides a lot of interior space. I actually really like the design of this room, and it's a far cry from the original iMac-adorned guest rooms from the first design. This is cozy, clean, and has many modern and luxurious appointments like 2 sitting areas, electronically controlled lights, and floor-to-ceiling windows, which when I first walked in, I actually noticed were a little stained. That's probably because these panels of glass have been fixed on this tower for almost 2 decades, likely with little maintenance, which is an insane thought for a brand new hotel. Otherwise, the views were pretty great. The bathroom was also very luxurious, with unbelievably soft robes and quality real materials everywhere, as well as little bow ties from the Fontainebleau brand cleverly snuck in. I honestly really like this room a lot, and while it did come in at a cost of $430 with tax, I think it can be a great value on other days where it can get as low as $295, with the lower tier rooms that have similar appointments at $160. At that price, it's a genuinely good product. Now, this is just one room out of a staggering 3,644 across the entire resort. Truly a mind-bending number, though about at par with other mega resorts in Vegas. Now, walking around the first 3 floors of the property, where the majority of the amenities are located, it's hard to tell what the original plan was compared to what's here now. In all honesty, they've actually done a pretty great job at making the space feel purpose-built for a 2024 market. However, we were walking around phone in hand with the original blueprints, trying to piece together what once was. So when referencing back, the overall picture begins to get a lot more clear, as most of the larger spaces are essentially the exact same, at least in terms of layout from the original plan. Spaces like the main casino floor, which still have a central bar area as well as 2 sets of escalators. It also has the exact same second floor layout. Now, some retail and dining spaces have been switched around, though others haven't, like the sportsbook area, which is still in the same place. Which, on a side note, it is the most luxurious sports bar I think I've ever seen, with a full lounge of real Ames chairs, which is just insane. Now, there is also just a lot that still needs to be filled out, like the originally planned retail along Las Vegas Boulevard. Really, the whole facade along the iconic street is a lot less flashy than what was first proposed. Also in need of tenants is the shopping district on the second level. There were only a few luxury storefronts in an otherwise drywall-lined space that had very few customers perusing. Though layout-wise, it's almost exactly the same as the original concepts. Now, upon opening, the pool area wasn't accessible yet, though it too looks very similar to the original 7 acres of outdoor space that was planned, along with an almost identical pool layout. The convention center is also quite similar, especially in design. In fact, the building it's housed within has the exact same exterior styling to what was originally built back in 2007. Obviously, the vast interiors have changed, but the bones of it all are largely the same, including this truly unbelievably large conference center lobby with the tallest escalator I think I've ever laid eyes on. But while the average person might miss or not be able to identify the long history behind this building, that conference center building might actually be the clearest visual sign as to how old this structure really is. Other than the exterior cladding, which does look to be in good condition, as does the interior parking garage, the roof actually begins to reveal some history. Installed back in 2007, the air conditioning units and other machinery are clearly showing signs of rust and weathering. It makes sense, as these metal units have been sitting out in the desert for well over a decade. Same with the roofing material below, as there is a pretty clear distinction between what was originally laid and what had to be repaired after all of this time in patches. That's all a pretty clear identifiable mark of this building's history. Other than this though, the structure looks really great. I honestly went into this thinking that the spaces were going to feel awkward and dated in layout, while not really knowing what to expect with the quality of the design. While there definitely are spaces in here that feel empty and a little strange, I honestly overall really like this resort. I honestly thought the interior design was really well executed, with a lot of detail, luxury finishes, and quality spaces, especially when considering their core bones were designed in 2006. There are plenty of restaurants and bars, most notably this one, called Nowhere, which is one of the most beautiful bars I have ever seen that has plush seating, a full jazz band, and even a pool table. However, it took a lot to get to this point, as the often reported budget comes in at a staggering $3.7 billion. But even that number doesn't tell the whole story. According to Las Vegas Weekly, they interviewed Fontainebleau's VP of Entertainment, who said, quote, "The number that's out there doesn't take into consideration what was spent on the first go-around. To build this asset with today's money would be something like $10 billion. There's no resort on the Strip that's close. So it's very possible that this property has become the most expensive resort in the area. Honestly, it's likely one of the most expensive hotels in the entire world, certainly in all of America. But while what they have to show for it so far is impressive, was it several billion dollars impressive? No, and it's objectively not as popular as other resorts on the Strip. For instance, this was the madhouse that was the Bellagio at 6 p.m. on a Thursday in early February, while this was the Fontainebleau at around the same time. Things are a lot more quiet here, and it's the same story at Resorts World, formerly known as the Echelon, the other new resort on the north end of the Strip, which also sat abandoned for years and was the topic of another video of mine. I also stayed there to see what it was like, and despite it being a similar price to Fontainebleau, it was substantially worse with a confusing design. In fact, very indicative of a structure that was stalled and then completed with a dated core design. And if you take a look at the original concept for the hotel, the end result we got is pretty laughable. Aside from the lackluster room and hotel lobbies, the resort also has a shopping mall with a long concourse. It's very modern, very boxy, and very bland. It really just felt like a brand new dead mall.
It feels like this was built in like 2013.
Something that really does show its age and lack of vision, adapted from someone else's original layout plans. Sorry to turn that into a light Brights and Travels video, I just needed to vent. But as for Fontainebleau, I think the resort has a lot further to go, and the reaction of those who have stayed there and the locals are a little mixed. There's no doubt that it's an expensive resort that is not built out to its full capacity. People rightfully freaked out on their $21 nachos that featured just 6 individual chips. That of course changed rather quickly, though apparently you still can order the original dish, I guess as a joke. Otherwise, the standout was the food, as it was pretty good. But like all of Vegas, offensively expensive, like this bottle of water costing me $6 alone. There might also be some trouble on the corporate side of things as well, with several executives quitting within 2 months of opening. In fact, 4 executives have already left their positions, which can't be good. There are many retail spots that need tenants, and there is still no word on what will become of the rooftop bar area. But I think they have a very solid foundation to start from, and I hope this property evolves into something unique, as I think the design is really great. So much so that I would honestly like to see this brand expand further into other properties. Just maybe not start one and then abandon it and then come back several years later. But as for Fontainebleau Las Vegas, it seems as though they have ways to go before they make back their investment for this hotel. One that has been known for nothing but trouble, only for it to open as a brand new 17-year-old hotel. Thanks for joining me on this rather quick update on this infamous property. And if you want to support videos like this, you can visit my Patreon page or subscribe if you just want to see more. My name is Jake, and thank you very much for watching.